Hey, I'm Maya Galas. I am a watercolor artist and illustrator. In this class, I'm going to be teaching you an easy galaxy painting in liquid watercolors. I'll cover how to use masking fluid, how to prepare paper, and how to apply stars. I will show you how to make natural highlights of space and shadows for full painting depth. You will learn how to mix liquid watercolors without much effort using wet and wet technique. Painting a galaxy is to dive into the world of stars and planets. So, take your paints, brushes, paper, and we're going to dive in. Let's see what materials we need to paint our space. First, we need watercolor paper. My recommendation is 300 grams and 100% cotton. If your paper is different, then the result may be slightly different. We also need watercolor paints. In this work, I mainly use liquid paint. These are by Royal Talents. And one paint I need from a tube by Rosa. My advice is next. Don't use watercolor for students. It has too little pigment and is not suitable for this work. Now we need professional brushes. For this work I will use a flat 16 brush. And 3 synthetic round brushes with sizes 6, 4 and 2 you can get with just a flat brush and one round brush of your choice. We also need white gouache. Or you can use white watercolor or even a white gel pen. In this work I also use masking fluid by Royal Talents. Especially for this I need a cheap synthetic brush. We also need soap. I'm going to use it with masking fluid. Also supplies will be 2 jars of clean water, paper towels, hair dryer. You may also need a palette. You can take a small one to apply paint from a tube and gouache. That's all we need for our work. Oh, I almost forgot, we also need masking tape to fix our paper. Next, I'm going to show you the color palette we need for our work. Let's see what paints and what color we will use in our work. I'm going to use mostly liquid watercolors. My watercolors by Royal Talents. This is how they look. You can see my jars are a little broken. They were broken in delivery, but the quality of the paint is fine. Liquid watercolor has richer pigments and after drying often looks vibrant. This works very well for painting space, night sky, etc. Let's make swatches and take a closer look. Here is magenta. Ultramarine violet is applied here, and there are black spots. Let's make the first swatch. Magenta. I dip my brush into the jar and wipe off excess paint on the edge of the jar. Here is a bright, intense color, magenta. I rinse my brush in water. Now I take my next color, ultramarine violet. I applied this color in these areas. It blended with other colors as well. I load paint into my brush and paint it onto my paper. It's a blue-violet color. So beautiful and intense pigment. So I rinse my brush in water again. I always try to wash off pigments from my brush well. And I take my third color. It's black. Alright, I dip my brush into the jar again and make a swatch. Here is my black color. If I apply it in one layer, then when it dries it will be a little grayish. So, if we need more intense black, then we need to add a few more layers. If you don't have liquid watercolors, you can take paint in tubes or pans. You just apply your colors more intensely in several layers and your painting will be bright too. If you don't have these colors, then you can use similar shades. I will also use bright red. This paint in a tube by Rosa. I'll show you what it looks like. I squeeze some paint onto my palette. Bright red in our work is here and here. This color adds more shades and more vibrancy. I do a swatch. See what a bright red color it is. These 4 colors I'm going to use in our work. I'm going to show you how to prep the paper for our work. Take paper and put it on your board or table. Take a cheap brush. Mine looks like this. I only work with masking fluid with this brush. Here's my masking fluid. It may even be a pencil. I have it in a jar by Royal Talents. What we do and how we apply it. I open my jar. Masking fluid is a liquid rubber. My fluid has a grayish color. Let's prepare our brush for applying masking fluid. I take my brush, dip it in water, take the soap and run it over it several times. Load your brush well with soapy water. Okay, it's done. Now I take and dip my brush into masking fluid and start applying it to my paper. You can see where I applied masking fluid in my work. Try to make dots round. Put them over the entire surface of your paper. Make different sizes which you would like. Okay, I applied big dots. Apply other dots by tapping on your brush. They will randomly cover your paper. I finished. I wash off my masking fluid from my brush. So this way hair of my brush doesn't glue. Let it dry for about 15 minutes, or you can dry it with a hair dryer. Once dry, Excess drops on your paper can be removed with a napkin, eraser, or your clean fingers. And only after that start working with paints. If you don't have any masking fluid, it's not a problem. Then skip this step. When you paint your work, just apply white gouache or watercolor instead. You can also use a white gel pen. Next, we are going to start painting our work. Let's do this! Okay, we are going to paint our beautiful space with shadows and highlights. Take paper, 300 grams, 100% cotton, fix it with masking tape, pressing it down well. Apply masking fluid in advance with a cheap brush. Let it dry for 15-20 minutes. I talked about this in more detail. Take a look. Now I start wetting my paper. I do this with a flat brush. My brush has size 16, so I'm gonna grab fresh water and apply water to the paper as a base. Make sure you don't have puddles on your paper. Check the water to keep the entire surface wet. The paper surface should be shiny. Move your brush horizontally and vertically to soak the water better into your paper. I take my palette. There is a lot of messy paint here. Don't pay attention. I load the brush with a bright red with a little water, and I start applying small random strokes. I apply a transparent line at the top and bottom. Rinse your brush well in a clean water and wipe it on a paper towel. Now I'm loading liquid water into my brush. This is magenta. You can take any other shade of pink and use it as you like. I put this color next to red, sometimes overlapping. Don't forget to load paint into your brush again. In some parts I add more paint for intensity. I rinse my brush, cleaning it well from the pigment and wipe it on a paper towel. I'm loading ultramarine violet into my brush and apply new color right in the middle. I start painting over the paper surface, but sometimes I leave white gaps. It will be highlights of our space. In some parts I already mix ultramarine violet with magenta, and I get beautiful purple hues. I rinse off the pigment from my brush again and wipe it on a paper towel. Grab magenta again and do an intense color. I also mix it with already applied ultramarine. My brush has ultramarine pigment, so I quickly rinse and wipe it on a paper towel. Load magenta again into my brush. On the right side, I get brighter purple color with blending. Now I make red more brighter. Apply red pigment by changing intensity on my paper. So when it dries, it will be brighter and more intense. You can also change its shape if you don't like what you get. I load ultramarine into my brush again, apply it on paper where I need to create a more intense ultramarine color and get a bluish shade of purple. Hold the brush at a 35-degree angle. I'm doing more intense color on the left side. Grab magenta and create even more purple hues, especially at the bottom. You can add as many colors as you want and create shades as you like. It only depends on you. When you work with liquid watercolor, don't forget to swipe 1 or 2 times on the edge of the jar. We've got a purple tint on the right side and bluish one on the left. Now it's time to create the depth of our space. I'm going to use black. First, I applied it to the corners on the right side. Then I moved to the opposite side. We need to create a contrast between shadow, light and midtones. I put more intense black. If black color is not intense, after drying it will become gray, so I'm going to add it several times. Don't add too many black dots because we can get one black spot and we don't need that. I take a size 4 round synthetic brush and change the edges of black spots where the paint was too bleed. I remove excess paint with a clean dry brush and wipe it off on a paper towel. I decided to make a smaller highlight here. I grab magenta and paint over a white gap, but not completely. Don't take a lot of paint in your brush, do it carefully. You can add some colors and you can remove them from your work. Do as you like best. I add slightly different shades in different parts. I left my complete process for you, where you can see how I decide to add some shade or not. When I liked the result, I started moving on to dry it. I grab my hairdryer and dry my work slowly at a short distance. Don't bring the hairdryer too close at the start of drying. Paint may flow slightly to other side. Alright, the painting is already dry. Now we are going to remove the masking fluid. You can do this with a paper towel, eraser, or with your fingers. First, clean the biggest dots and then go all over the paper. After removing the masking fluid, you can see how beautiful the white paper is. I really like what I see. Next, we are going to apply our stars. Now we are going to add some white stars to our space. I will take white gouache. It also in the same palette. Don't pay attention to it mess. Load on my brush some water and add to gouache for a more liquid state. I'm using a number 2 round synthetic brush. I also have a paper towel to remove excess water from my brush. I'm going to start painting the white dots with the tip of my brush. Pay attention to your precision. Don't make it too strong. The belly of your brush should not lay down on your paper. Hold the brush at an angle of 90-80 degrees. Put white dots in the darker parts of your work. Don't put all dots in one place. Spread them over the entire surface. If you're not sure where exactly to put your dots, look at your painting from an angle, or you can even stand up and look at the distance at it. And where you think something is missing, put it there. I put all the additional stars as it suits me. I don't make them too big. I also don't want to have a lot of them. But you can do whatever suits you best. Well, I have already applied all the stars I wanted, and the work is almost done. We need to remove the masking tape. Do this by carefully holding your paper. Make sure paints don't touch the edges of the paper. Make sure your hands will be clean and do not leave dirty spots. Well, that's all. The painting is done. You can see beautiful red-pink nebula on it, more violet-blue space, and its darker depth. Happy painting! We have gone through all the class. I really hope you have had a lot of fun painting with me. You got experience using masking fluid, liquid watercolors and mixing colors. We also learned how to create highlights and depth of space, and also the applying stars. Remember, the more practice you do, the better your work will be. Thanks again, see you in the next classes. Bye!